Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's the match preview of West Ham United against Leicester City. That's about as positive as it gets, unfortunately. Listen, we're going to do our best. We're going to be honest, and hopefully we'll do it with a smile on our face, even though what might be coming out of our mouth might not deserve to be said with a smile. But let's talk about our opponents as always, Gonzo. Thoughts on Leicester, please?
Well, before we talk about the manager or the players, I think we've just got to comment on the football club itself, really, because I think what they've done is nothing short of miraculous, bearing in mind it was a year or so ago their owner and lost his life in tragic circumstances. Once the sorrow had dissipated from the Leicester City fans, I bet there were a lot of them thinking, where would our club go from here? That's probably, I would imagine they probably thought that's the end of things now as far as the journey of Leicester's was concerned. So for the son to, which I think is what's happened, I don't claim to be an expert on it, to pick up the baton and to carry the club forward and continue to run the club with a generosity that I think was the hallmark of his father, and certainly the other owner was known for the things he would do in the community and everything like that. To pick it up and run and to continue to build the club and grow the club in the way that he has, with little or no impact in terms of what's happening on the pitch, commercially and everything else, I think is a minor miracle, and everybody involved in that club deserves a pat on the back and needs to accept a pat on the back. I think it's a marvellous story, actually, Gio.
I think it's a perfectly run football club, really. You spoke about the community there. I think that's a big factor in the whole thing about what they do off the pitch and away from Leicester, but as Leicester, but not for Leicester City Football Club. It's just remarkable. The fans on Boxing Day all got a free drink on behalf of Leicester City. It wasn't long ago they all got a free mince pie as well and stuff. There was all this chat recently about fan engagement. There was some survey or something, and Leicester are just miles ahead on everyone else on fan engagement. But on the pitch, it's very unusual for a club to be well run in every single department, but they appear to be able to do it. Then you look at us and we've got disaster in every single department. And the contrast of the two clubs is unbelievable. And when you go back, I know they've won the title, but if you go back a couple of seasons to where we both were and now where we are now, it's just the worlds apart, and you can't help but look on with a bit of envy. And to be honest with you, I don't mind, mate. I am jealous of them. I look at that and think, wow, what a fantastic football club. Top manager, top players, top football. If you're a Leicester fan tuning in, this praise ain't going to stop, unfortunately. There's another couple of questions. I can't see again very much negative for you. Top four for them this season, do you think? I mean, the run of form it's got a bit wonky in the last few weeks, but I think if you look at the fixtures, I think that might sort of tell you why it's got a little bit wonky. However, they're still second in the league as we speak, although Manchester City are playing tonight.
Yeah, but I watched both games, Gio, which is strange for me, to be perfectly honest. I watched the Man City one and I watched the Liverpool one, and yeah, I mean, those two clubs are, well, I was going to say arguably the best in Europe. One of them certainly is the best in Europe. One of them is the best in the world. One of them is, close to being the best in Europe, and they're light years ahead of everybody else. But that's fine. Leicester City don't need to measure themselves against those two clubs. The fact that they can measure themselves and come out favourably against teams like Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, and big teams like that is amazing in itself. And I do think top four is absolutely achievable for them. They've just got such good balance to their team, Gio.
Yeah, I was listening to a video earlier from a Leicester fan, and he was talking about last night's game, and he's saying about how they got a football in lesson, but he's shrugging it off, obviously. And he basically said something like, this is the fact we're disappointed is a repercussion of being ahead of where Brendan Rodgers wants us. And I thought that's a very interesting statement to make, to insinuate that the manager almost wasn't expecting you there, but you have to imagine Rodgers came in with a long-term plan, and I bet his first full season wasn't Champions League, it was probably year 3 or something. So it'd be interesting to see how Rodgers adapts and how they adapt in the transfer market, because there's an opportunity for them now. I think they'll finish in top 4 this season, but come this summer there's an opportunity there to say to Leicester City right now, go and get 2 or 3 really big players, go get players like Tielemans that's going to come in, start every week and win you points, score you goals, keep you clean sheets, because their scouting department, I know they've had changes and stuff, but it's still continuing to do the business. I know Perez was 30 million. It wasn't a surprise, but he fits what Rodgers wants to do. Maddison wasn't a surprise. Went to the Championship and got the most creative player out there, but they were the only ones that did it. Tielemans wasn't much of a surprise. He was one of the top prospects in European football that stuttered in Monaco. They took him all low and said, "We'll have a look at you." Was impressed. They went and got him. But that's the level they're at now. They don't really, while I'm sure they'll unearth a couple of gems, they don't really need to do that anymore. They've already done that. They're now past that stage. This is where we are. We're having to sort of manage our money and find a couple of bargains, almost find and polish a diamond somewhere, because that's where we have to do. Leicester don't need to do that. They can afford to buy just 2 players a summer, and they'll improve their team and their squad by knocking whoever's in the first 11 into the bench, like Harvey Barnes. They could go get a top left winger in, put Harvey Barnes on the bench, bang, squad's upgraded, bang, first 11's upgraded. And you just have to, it's hard to watch that and think, wow, it's just really that good. Players you admire? Last question on Leicester City. Players you admire? I mean, let's not rattle off the whole 11, it would be quite easy. 2 or 3, pick 2 or 3.
I really, yes, you're absolutely right. Before I do that, I just, want to say what I always say about them. I love the balance. I love the width. I love the fact that the 3 men in midfield all do. You've got a stopper, you've got a playmaker, and you've got a dribbler, a number 10. I like that. That's great. So the balance of the team's good. I like the fact that they can play possession or they can counter. Well, absolutely wonderful. A player that I've admired for some time, as you know, is Pereira. I think he's a really, really good player. Again, I say I watched the game, and even though they were down and out, he was pirouetting and doing his stuff. They kept on going, Leicester. There was a bit they got that Sawyer chew. I think they were 4-0 down at the time, but the geezer comes marching forward. I think he actually dribbled the ball past the Liverpool player at one point. Unbelievable the confidence that they play with. Here's the thing. Normally I do a bit of research before we do these videos. I don't have to do any research on Leicester. I'll just tell you their players. You say don't name everyone. It's one of the few teams I could name their starting 11 in the Premier League. I really could. So yeah, I like Pereira. I like Chilwell. I like wide players anyway. I could just rattle them all off. Obviously Vardy is in fantastic form. And I really do like. I really do like Tielemans as well. I think he's a classy and a calm player. But I think Ndidi is probably gets a lot of honesty, goes unnoticed. But I think he is probably a very, very vital cog in their team, because of course they lost the geezer to Paris Saint-Germain, didn't they? Or was it? No. Sorry, that was. No, I'm thinking of Everton. Sorry, to be fair. Just such a good team, Geo. Such a good team, and they've got a few players that can come off the bench, like Damari Gray, who was obviously previously featuring, and even Albrighton came on the other day. Whilst they don't have the biggest strength in depth, they do have players that can come off the bench and do really, really well, and they can lose players like Harry Maguire without it really impacting the team. They must have 150 million to spend in the next window.
Indeed, he's one of my favourite non-West Ham players. I've liked him for a few seasons, and I think he's now the best defensive midfielder in the league. And I include Fabinho in that. I think he's by far ahead of Fernandinho. I know he's playing centre back now, but Fernandinho's on the decline. Indeed, he's up there. He's just unbelievable. Every time I watch him, I just think, wow, that player is. I would not be surprised if he's linked to a big club soon, and I'm talking tens of million. And there was that newspaper article the other day, was a bit stupid, that said Arsenal were looking at him for 40 million plus Granit Xhaka. Well, I think he's worth 100 million or something in this market. I really do think he's that good. He's just, for his age, he's up there. I don't want to say the equivalent of Raheem Sterling in that position, but I don't think he's that far off it, to be honest. He's just, when I watch him Leicester play, he's just faultless. He's so good. I think Jamie Vardy, I think he's sealed this season. I think he sealed his place in sort of like the greatest ever strikers playing in the Premier League. I know he had that goal scoring record, so he was in there anyway. But he's defying his age. You look at his age, and you think at some point his pace is going to go and he's going to struggle. And you always think it'll be this season, but it's not. Then you think it'll be this season, but it's not. He's still doing it. He's just superb. They've just got. The thing is, I know what you're saying, but some of their players, like Mark Albrighton, for example, they don't jump out as a fantastic individual player. But what they're doing is they're putting square pegs in square holes, and that's why you get to see 100% from Mark Albrighton. Whereas you come to West Ham, our call play would be played centre midfielder or right back or something, then you'd expose him for his limited ability. But it doesn't get exposed at Leicester City because they don't do that. They don't throw you out there to trip up a little bit. Now we're going to move on to West Ham, but before we do, home game means the boats are open. They're open from 2:30 on Saturday afternoon because it's a 5 o'clock kickoff, and they're open after the game as well until 9:30. The tickets are available via a link which is in the description as we talk. Kids go free as always, so if you fancy barbecue, a beer, a bit of music, 2 minutes from the ground, have a look on the link. All the information's there, and join us before and after the game. Team news for West Ham, quite crucial. Lucas Fabianski is back. Now, how does 2 days make a massive difference for someone being able to play and not play? I don't know, but he's back. Lucas Fabianski's back. Ryan Fredericks is also back after being suspended for the visit to Crystal Palace. However, Aaron Creswell picked up his 5th yellow card of the season in the 93rd minute at Selhurst Park, so he misses out on this one. Anyone would think he knows what's coming. I thought, you know what, I don't really fancy this one. I'm going to sit this one out. Gonzo, there needs to be changes. There needs to be changes. Some are forced, and some you're probably looking at thinking it's about time he was dropped. May I have your 11, please? Just rattle through your 11.
Yeah, I do apologise. I've not long been in, so I've not made this up. I'll do it off the top of my head quite merrily. Obviously, clearly we'll put Fabianski in goal. We'll bring Ryan Fredericks back in, and unfortunately, I would actually play Johnson there, but I think he's had a knock as well, hasn't he, Johnson? So we'll stick with Balbuena and Ogbonna there. Masuaku plays at left back by default, judging by what you've said. I'll play Declan Rice and Paulo Fornals in the middle because Mark Noble played a couple of days ago, and you know he is the age that he is, so I would expect that to be the case. I'm going to go with as much pace as I possibly can on this, so I'll go with Felipe Anderson on one wing. I'll go with Nathan Holland on the other, and I'll go with Haller and Antonio up front and go for it. I can't see there's anything else to do. The last game, as I said in the review, I thought we went defensive in the last game, despite that we fall by the 2 up top. We were defensive. We sat back and we tried to soak up as much as we could, and we conceded territory, possession, and everything to Crystal Palace. So I think we're going to do it. We need to have a go. Put some pace in the team.
Mine's not too different from yours. A slight tweak in personnel, and I think we've only got one different player actually. Yeah, we do. I don't have. Did you say Holland? Sorry, yeah. I don't have Holland. Instead, I've got Diop, which gives away what I'm away to say here. I would go 3 at the back for this because I don't trust Fredericks and I don't trust Masuaku defensively. So 3 at the back. Let's remove some of their defensive responsibility. Let's give them a bit of a shield. So Balbuena, Diop, and Ogbonna. We've got 3. I say top. They are. I do believe they are top. We've got 3 top centre backs, and it's almost criminal that we can only play 2 because of formation. Yet we're sort of having to put up with out of form players kicking around the 11 when we've actually got someone on the bench, Diop at the minute, of really good ability. So let's get them all in. Masuaku and Fredericks just become wing backs. Interestingly, I've also gone for Niles in the middle of Declan Rice because Leicester with Maddison and Tielemans, I don't think they're overly physical. Indeed, he is. But Fornals ain't going into his position. Fornals should be sitting deep with Rice and almost don't go in the final third. Let the front 3 and the wing backs produce the attack in this. Fornals ain't fast, so don't make him run. Just let him sit in there. Play the deep passes because we almost need someone in there. I would leave Mark Noble out, not just because of the fitness, but because the way he lost his head with Ogbonna. I've thought about this and I've just thought I don't like that. I really don't, because Ogbonna's clearly told him, you know, get your act together, that pass was in great, and I think he's within his right to say that. For Noble to act the way he did was almost like he was starting a fight, and I thought, like, what are you doing? You're the captain. We need leadership here, and as part of leadership you need to have composure about yourself, and that ain't a good sign for anybody seeing that. So I think he almost needs to be like dropped. Snodgrass is the last player I want to see in the starting 11 against Leicester, so I've gone with the front 3 like Gonzo's: Anderson, Antonio, Sebastian Haller. 2 of them playing just behind Haller.
Well, I know what you're going to say.
Well, I'm trying to think of what to say. That's not are you confident? Well, what's your thoughts on this game? Because we've got another 5-10 minutes. So, what's your thoughts on the game before I ask if you're confident? I mean,
it's a perfect. Leicester have just played Liverpool. And Manchester City, as we alluded to, if they could, we seem to say this so often, if they could cherry pick a game for their next game coming off the back of those results, it would be West Ham. Probably, believe it or not, because we played them again at their place relatively in a short period of time. So we're up to, I was going to say Filbert Street. What's it, the Walker Stadium? Isn't it Walker Stadium? We're up to the Walker Stadium very soon. They're coming to us. Not that it matters. I just don't think there's such a thing. I think we surrendered home advantage. We don't really have one at the moment. So I think if they could pick and choose, we do have a slight thing that goes with us. Is we've had a little bit more rest, and obviously we've stayed in London. But I'm really clutching at straws there. They still played at home. They are only travelling down. So they're not coming from Jupiter, are they, or anything like that? They're only coming down from the Midlands down to London, and it's Christmas traffic as well. So it's not going to be. They're going to. The coach will just pull straight up, and they'll come in, take their 3 points, say thank you very much, and go back up the motorway. But it's just hard to imagine what we can do. Hard to imagine that the manager will have anything tactically to pose Brendan Rodgers any problems. Brendan Rodgers is probably sat like the Bond villain, stroking his cat. I don't know, concocting some sort of tactical genius plan.
He doesn't even need to. That's the thing. Just
no,
turn up and play a normal game.
No, because he's a genius. He's an Pellegrini's like Scooby Doo. He's
quite good.
Thank you. He's not going to know what to do. I honestly, I don't even know where I'm going, but I am. So there you go, for a beer and a barbecue and a song and a dance on the boat. Clearly, Gio.
The thing is, Pellegrini's had one day. Okay, he had 12 days between Southampton and Crystal Palace, and he came up with the same plan that he had against Southampton, and it didn't work. So he's now got 1 day to come up against something against a team that's second in the league. There's just absolutely no chance. If he's going to change anything, they've got 1 day to implement it on the training ground. So even if he does come up with something like 3 at the back, they've got 1 day to practice with 3 at the back. I almost put myself off going 3 at the back now, because I just think, can you imagine them coming out with 3 at the back? They're not going to know what they're doing. They'll take one ball in behind for them all to stand there and go, I thought you were marking him. Oh, right, okay, well, we've fucked that, haven't we? I think the best thing almost is to do is go 5-5-0 and just try and play for a 0-0. I think I've got no confidence whatsoever. The thing is, Leicester, anybody right now who is doing well, Wolves are playing tonight. Wolves would probably be thinking, I wish we could have Leicester, because you've got to play them at some point. Now is probably the best time in the season to play them. They drew at home to Norwich, bad result for them. I thought they looked tired against Man City. And in the latter stages, there was just nothing about them. They just had no energy. Rodgers had that cup game against Everton. He put out a very strong team. He only rested 2 players, I think, Tielemans and... can't remember. He left out 2 players. Oh, his wingers, Perez and Barnes. He took them out as well. But he still played Ndidi, Vardy, Pereira and Chilwell and that. And I think it's impacted them a little bit. Against Liverpool, I thought they were poor. I thought they barely got out of their half. Now, that's credit to Liverpool. But Rodgers got his tactics wrong, because he tried to get Maddison to sort of play left wing, and it completely took Maddison out of the game, and he couldn't track Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I know he was the man of the match and he was fantastic from right back. That's because he didn't have anyone to mark him. Maddison was trying to come in and go out. He got it all wrong, Rodgers. So right now you're thinking, right, hang on, they've got 1 point from 3 games and they look a bit tired. If there's any time we're going to do well, it's this one. But I've got zero confidence in us taking advantage of this situation we find ourselves in, because we had a similar one against Palace. We had a 12-day break. They didn't. It didn't look like it on the pitch. Anyway, before you're confident, I've got the charity bet for Betway. Might interest Gonzo, going by his vibe so far. But I'm doing just to win money for charity, so I've had to put my West Ham specs to one side here. It's Leicester City to win, Jamie Vardy to score, 5 or more Leicester City corners, and West Ham to pick up at least 2 bookings, 10-1 with Betway. So if you go to betway.com, Sports Premier League, click on the West Ham link, click Bet Your Way, scroll down, you'll see a bit that says Hamish Chat. It's got the bet there, 10-1, click it. Get on it. Well, don't get on it if you don't want to, but I'm trying to win money for charity. 500 quid for charity if it wins. Come on then. That's
a good bet, actually. That's a good bet.
I think it's good odds. Listen, I just can't see us winning. Vardy, this is the type of defence he does well against. 5 corners ain't much for them, and us to pick up 2 bookings. Are you confident?
No, I know. Of course, I'm not confident at all. I think it's
optimistic.
I'm optimistic that the trains might run well tomorrow. I'm not sure that there's a strike, and it's a Saturday service, so I'm optimistic about that. Wonderful transport links at the London Stadium if you're watching Leicester fans. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. It's just terrible. Everything is terrible, Geo. Bar humbug.
Can't really blame you. I'm not confident at all whatsoever. I'm dreading it, actually, Gonzo. I'm actually dreading tomorrow, because when we've played some teams, Spurs and Newcastle, they scored 3 and they sat back, said, right, we'll now guard this a little bit. We scored 1 and guard it, but they scored 3 and thought that's enough. I don't think Leicester won't do that. Leicester will score 3 and go, let's go get 4, let's go get 5. And if we allow them to give us a hiding, I think they will give us a hiding, If we drop our heads like we did against Arsenal, we will get smashed tomorrow night. I've got no doubt about it. If we switch off for 10-20 minutes like we did, that Arsenal team is not a good team. This team's much better, and they'll have a field day. And it's the biggest insult you could get, I think, is tomorrow night if Brendan Rodgers is that comfortable, he subs off Jamie Vardy, James Maddison, and Yuri Tielemans and says, I'm going to rest my 3-star players now because this team ain't going to bother me at all. So, with all that in mind, can I get your score prediction?
Yeah, I think Leicester might win 4-0 tomorrow, actually, because I think his philosophy is to play a high line. We saw what happens when we play a high line against Newcastle. You just alluded to. I mean, Jamie Vardy will be. He'd be more he'll be like a child on Christmas Eve, hoping to see that highlight. He won't be able to get to sleep tonight. He'd be so excited about West Ham's defence tomorrow. But let's say Pellegrini just decides to sit deep, as he's shown a propensity to do in a couple of games. Then what we're going to have is we're going to have James Maddison shooting from distance, or Perez cutting in and shooting from distance, and I just can't see any way for us to stop the goals from going in. I think Johnny Evans, I think what's his name, Sawyer, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the full-backs, I think it's just, and I like the keeper as well. We never mention a keeper, do we? I just think it's so hard for us to score against them as well. I just, it's, yeah, what can I say? I think they'll win 4-0.
We don't often agree on score lines. I'm going 4-0 Leicester as well. Here's a different question for you then. How many will Jamie Vardy get?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get all the 4. I wouldn't be surprised if Pellegrini. So Jamie Vardy's going to bed dreaming of our back line. Pellegrini's going to bed having nightmares about Jamie Vardy. I wouldn't be surprised if we sit quite deep, and actually it's not him that gets all the goals. But it's just really, really difficult, Geo, because you said earlier about Leicester polishing diamonds. I mean, we're rolling turds in glitter, quite frankly, and just the comparisons between the two teams are just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, who knows? Do you know what? We might all be wrong. West Ham win, and I'll phone you up drunk at about 9 o'clock tomorrow night. There you go.
Well, it'll be the best feeling ever if we win tomorrow. Everyone will be buzzing and stuff. I think this game. You're watching us on YouTube right now. I think tomorrow night you could get the highlights on YouPorn. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be that bad. I'm going to go for 4 now. I think Vardy will get a hat trick. I feel this. I think Vardy's just going to smash our defence, actually. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this preview, Leicester fans especially, you guys are probably the ones I enjoy the most. Can you drop a like on the video, subscribe when you're around here. Gonzo's going to the game, so he'll have his instant reaction tomorrow night up on the forum channel. Links in the description below. I'll be live after the game at full time here. I can't afford to go. I ain't going. I'll be sitting here watching it on wherever.
Take care. In the Rogering section. Oh, sorry, I've said enough.